Yeah. What's up?
So in the reduce when you have the two arguments, accumulator.
With what?
And in a reduce, when you use the reducer, you have the accumulator and the option for
It's the optional initial value. There's always a current element.
accumulator. Okay, it's optional. Okay. But it's weird to me that when you actually write in the function, for instance, this one, the empty object, is the accumulator.
It's the initial value, and it becomes the accumulator. If there's an initial value, the accumulator is that initial value.
It's just the arguments in there are like second, but initial value, and increment. But then, within the functions after the comma, the object is.
Yeah, this is the. Okay. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird function. It's hard. A lot of people struggle with reduce. That's okay. It's normal. Just have to remember, this is the optional second argument. If we give it that, it becomes the accumulator in the first call. Otherwise, the first element in the array becomes the accumulator on the first call. Yeah, it's a tricky one. What?
It's 2 power.
Yeah, I got the power. Professor's got the power.
I think the triple for sure.
Ye have little faith. True. All right, it's 2 o'clock. I'm gonna get going. All right. Are we good with this? Are we good with reduce, filter, map, for each? Getting better at it, at least. Okay, let's move on then. So we're done with the warm up. Say, what else do we need to talk about here? Did you feel better with objects? Do you feel better with objects? A little better. You think you were better with objects, okay.
When we did the quiz, the BuzzFeed quiz thing, I did these radios and input tags. And if you clicked on it, it's to a different color. And it pushes value into this display. But if you click another value, it just adds it. And it's pencil in. And I know there's a way of thinking about that doing it right. And I know that really like giving one of the A, B, C, D in a single person in the same class name and letting that class take up with a single position in some.
Yeah, I mean, you could just accumulate, you could just get the value of each thing, at the end or something. Not that it's.
I was hoping you to do it for me.
I don't want to do it for you. That's all right. Okay, so I think we've gone over reduce a bit here. We've gone over array methods. General. Briefly talked about slice and cat. Although Spina's not here, so I'm not going to do that right now. I want to ask about that. What do we think? What do we want to move on to? Do we do an API, HTML? What do you say? Close is not going to be on the test, so I'm not going to go over that. Yeah, let's switch gears a little bit. We can go back to stuff after. Oh, you're here now. Wait, where were you?
She was walking to the secret discussion.
Ah. All right, well then let's briefly talk. Let's briefly look at things here. So, concat. So I have an array. I have another array. I want to make this one array. How do I do it?
Array dot concat and then parentheses another.
Exactly. Good job. Had some people ask me about concat. That's it. Questions on that? Okay. Does this mutate the original array?
It does.
Nilene takes it on this one. Array still 1, 2, 3. So concat does not mutate. Okay? Okay, let's go again. Array dot slice 1. What does this give me? Take it. Oh, I'm gonna give everybody a second to think. Oh, nice. My wife went grocery shopping. That's awesome. I still have to buy potatoes, I think. Maybe I won't. But... Okay, Diana. All right. Yep. Took in 2, 3. Excellent. How about if I go... What are we getting now? Trey says we get the same thing. Diana says... Diana says it's going to go up to that index, so we're not actually going to capture it. All right. Diana, for the win. Yeah, we should do Jeopardy. That'd be cool. Make it. We can play it. Okay. Does this alter the array? Does this mutate the array? Diana? No? Crispina? No? You say yes? No? No? Crispina and Trey for the win. Okay. Slice, concat, they don't mutate. What else was over there? Anything else? Splice, I'm not going to get into splice. I think it's going to confuse people right now. I'll get into splice later. I just want to talk, because people seem to, for some reason, associate slice and splice as like similar, connected. They're not at all. Their words are somewhat similar. They're totally different operations. Yes, that's about as much as they have in common. But that is a good point. They are both array methods. But I'm not going to go into splice. I don't think you're going to use it much. And I think it will be more confusing. If we understand slice and we understand concat, we're doing pretty good. Do we? Okay, so if I say, all right, here we go. Ready? Let's do something for fun. I say, let another equal array. And I say, another dot push. I put in a 5. And I want to console.log our array. What am I going to get? I'm going to let everyone have a chance to think. Give me a thumbs up when you're done thinking. Great. Are you still thinking? Oh, you gotta give me that thumb.
Sorry.
Kelly, are you still thinking? Not really? Okay, well then, we're not really gonna wait. All right, what do we get? Neil, you need to throw up your hand super fast. What was it?
It's 1, 2, 3.
You say 1, 2.
It's offensive.
It's gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 5.
1, 2, 3, 5. Christina?
So just 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
1,
Okay, if you're in the 1, 2, 3, 5, raise your hand. We got 2 brave souls. If you're in the other one, raise your hand, just to make sure everyone commits. Okay. Oh man, minority wins. That's why we should all raise our hand and be proud, because we don't all know and it's all good, right? So, what? Yeah, you were in the minority and you won.
Oh, I wasn't hearing.
That's all right.
You said 1, 2, 3, 4. I've heard it.
I did hear that, and I believe it is on tape. So why? Why did that happen? Eileen, tell them why.
You're saying something about switching the lids around, but it's, I don't know how to explain it, but even though you reassign something, the original one still gets mutated. I don't know how to explain it.
All right.
You can't get away from it.
Karina, can you tell them why? But how come it affected our original array? Eric.
Because another is still that array. You just reassign array to be called.
Exactly. So, my turn. So, we just created a variable that points to the exact same spot in memory as our variable array points to that memory. When we did push, we mutated that array. We mutated that specific space in memory. Another points to that, and so does the original array. So when we mutated that spot, array got mutated as well. Questions on that? Eric?
I don't think it's related to what you just said. But,
Okay.
If you were to do array that push, it wouldn't work, right?
That's
No, up there, yeah, there.
Okay, sounds good. He's saying, does array.push work? It wouldn't.
No.
Yeah, we're console logging. Well, that wouldn't be very interesting. You want to see R?
Yeah.
Well, this is just, we're changing R on line 99.
Oh, okay.
But what makes it interesting is that we've also changed another
Wow.
for the same reason. They're both looking at the same spot in memory. Crispina.
That's what I want
Oh.
to repeat. It's looking at the original value, and because it's like
R is still the
that's
star.
what it's pointing at.
Because they're pointing at the same thing. Another is just pointing to array, which is pointing to here.
I see.
So we're looking at the exact same piece of memory. Now, I've added slice. What will another be? Okay, so you say it's going to still be 1, 2, 3. Unaffected by the push, is that right? Dania? Diana?
Oh, agree.
So it's still going to get affected, you're saying. This, Johnny?
So it's gonna be 5.
No, it's not going to be this fast. Okay, so if you think that our consologging of another is going to be just 1, 2, 3, hands up. Okay, Abed, why?
This slice will copy that copy.
So he says Slice is going to copy the array. Isa, how come you threw up your hand?
The array push. It's like array is going to be another thing, another.
But when did that happen? And why? Okay, let's try. Oh, we want some more debating? Let's do it. Diana.
Okay, so it's gonna be 1, 2, 3 because since another is being assigned to an array that's less than 0, then array that push 5 put in a 5.
Okay, so let's run it. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3. So Slice, if we remember, Slice didn't mutate the array, right? It made its own. So another is pointing to its own space and memory. This is a spot that Slice is very helpful.
You can say that a little bit more expanded. The slice is very helpful because it
Makes a copy.
makes its own copy.
How about now? What is going on now? Johnny, what's going on now?
Become the strength.
Becomes a string. Okay. Good guess. Trey?
Line 98 takes a array and separates each index of its own array. So the array is one array.
Trey says we're going to have 3 individual arrays. Johnny says it's a string. Diana says it's going to be a new array of 1, 2, 3. Okay. What else? Anyone else? Any other hypotheses to test? Abed, you want to take a guess?
I'll go with the 5. It's gonna have 5.
It's going to have 5 in it as well. Okay, that's a whole different one. Cool. We got 4 different answers. The same question. Very interesting. Let's see. No, it's 1, 2, 3. Diana for the win. What? So this is separating out the array into individual arguments, and we're wrapping those in an array. So it makes its own array. This array on the outside here is a new array of memory. We're just using the arguments or the elements that were inside that array. I was asked about the spread operator. This is one of the use cases of the spread operator. Let's do another. What happened here? Who wants to venture a guess? It's okay if you don't get it right. It's like totally fine. Johnny, let's go for it.
Yeah, that was 1 through 6 into 1 single array.
1 to through 6 into a single array? Not a bad guess. Spina?
I feel like it's gonna make 2 arrays.
It's going to make 2 arrays into a multi-dimensional array. All right, if you think it's a multi-dimensional array, throw up your hand. If you think it's an array of 1 through 6, throw up your hand. All right, so we're a little split. We got a little bit of a majority on one way. This is another use case for the spread operator. Oops. Anyway, this is another use case for the spread operator. What does this remind us of? Concat. So we've seen slice, somewhat of a slice replacement, a slice of 0 being replaced by the spread operator, and we've seen a concat being replaced by the spread operator. Diana.
So the spread operator.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're good. Right.
You use spread operator or just or just R?
I don't know if I can. Let's see. One, two, three. All right. All right, let's try another use case of the spread operator. I got a function. Add. Oh, actually, let's just do this. Okay. We've kind of seen this function before today, right? I think we did product instead, but it's the same thing, right? This look kind of familiar. But we're saying nums is what? What is nums here? What am I acting? Yeah, nums is an array, because reduce is a array method. So if I want to call add and invoke add, what do my arguments look like? Good question. Good guess. Trey says we need to pass in an array. But if I wanted to pass in an array, wouldn't I have just written array in as the argument? But instead I wrote spread operator or rest operator and then nums. Abed?
Or just like
Would it be a list of numbers? Yeah. This spread operator takes this random list of numbers, turns it into an array.
So spread operator turns an array into numbers and numbers.
Pretty much.
The spread operator turns array into numbers, or it turns numbers into an array. It's like a double translated. And this applies for object.
No, this isn't an object thing. This is just the spread operator. If you don't feel confident using the spread operator yet, probably don't use it. / use it on, like, practice using it a little bit at a time. Don't try to reinvent it. Try to use it in a way we've seen it. Sure. It's an array. It took all of these arguments and turned them into an array. In previous examples, we had an array and I put the spread operator in front of it and it gave us like the numbers. It separated them out. It's like a mirror. Yeah. How do we get 36?
Oh, 36 is at the bottom. So one norms is what gives you the,
Yeah. This is the return output here. Here's enough. Maybe we'll do better at math here. 15. Questions on the spread. All right, I'll mark it off on our list. We've done concat, we've done slice, we've done spread. All right, we're starting to get through this sucker. I like that. I think that I'm probably won't get the practice test. Probably won't do that. Map, call back. We did that. Okay. Do we need to do recursion? Any kind of recursion?
yeah,
Do we want to focus on that, or do we want to move on to dominant?
the job.
All right, Dom first. Johnny, you lost in that one. We can hit recursion later though for you, okay? Okay. So how do we want to do it? I hate that opens. Okay. So I'm not sure what questions I don't know what we're struggling with here. Yeah,
Current target and target.
current target and target, okay. What else?
That list, the append child right there, that's not.
You pinch up. No, that is part of it. Okay. What else? Anything else? All right. So let's pretend we have our HTML. Okay. We got just a basic HTML file. I'm gonna have a button. I have a body, a button, a UL. Let me put some LIs in here for fun. Howdy doody TV rules. Okay? I'm not going to get the class of UL, that's not descriptive. Okay. Are we good? Yes. So, we've linked up a JavaScript file to our, here, let me make sure I can open this in the browser. Copy full path. Oops. Oh, that must be, oh, is that part of Adam? That's weird. Okay. I meant backslash. Okay. Hey. Yeah? Oh, yeah, great. Okay, so we've got this howdy doody, we got this button. We can look at our elements and we see we've got our body, we've got this UL, our UL has LIs. We're all inside this body. Right, this looks fairly normal, it's our HTML. Okay, so in our JavaScript, the whiteboard is. So in our JavaScript, we have a event listener that we're putting on the document. The document is containing all of that HTML. And we're saying, hey, we want you to listen for when all of the content, like all of those HTML tags, has been loaded. Once it's loaded, we want you to fire off this callback function. Are we good with that? Okay. So let's do it. So let's also add an event listener to the body. Okay? So I'm going to say let body, and I'm going to say document dot query selector, because this is how I select an element off of my HTML, and I'm going to say that I want the body, and I'm going to add an event listener to my body. I'm going to say body dot add event listener, and I have lots of listeners I can choose from. Right now, I want to listen for clicks, just for this example. I'm going to say on the click, I want to fire a function that's going to be past the event, and I want to stop my code when I do that. Questions on this code? No? You feel all right with this? Bless you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But this is my show. What?
Can you say why you're using debugger after?
I want to freeze the code so we can look at the event. And so we can see everything available to us, and so we can play around and examine the DOM and look at everything. I'm not a console log kind of guy, typically. Yep, but you won't be able to like freeze it. You won't be able to type in event.target. You'll have to click and find the target. And then if you want to make a change, you won't be able to do that either. Do anything. The debugger is a significantly more powerful tool than console log. If you're only using console log, you're probably weakening your coding abilities. That being said, if you're super confident about what you're doing and you just want a quick check-in, then you want to use console log probably. Elaine.
Just like posting with like not access to functions until we do it now.
To a function that
Or to any
has been
entity.
made as a, well, if a function's been hoisted, we might have access to that, but if it's written in ES6 or something, no. It's just, it pauses the code on that line. Whatever's available on that line, the debugger has available to us. Whatever's not available on that line in the code, the debugger doesn't have access to it. So let's, I'm also going to grab the UL. And I'm going to say document query selector. And I'm going to grab my UL. And I'm going to say UL dot add event listener. Whoops. And this I'm going to listen for a click. And once that click has happened on the UL, I want to fire a callback function that takes in an event. And then I want to be able to see what's going on, so I'm going to throw in the debugger. Okay? And this should be enough for right now. All right. Who's excited? Who's excited to see some bugging? All right. So I'm going to refresh, and nothing will look different because I haven't clicked anywhere. And if I look here, I can see that's my, what's that say? Somebody read that? Maybe I need to make that bigger somehow? No, that's the wrong one. Does that say HTML? All right. This is the LI. Does this say body?
Yes.
So I'm clicking in body right now. Okay, so this is, I'm not clicking on the UL. I'm not clicking on an LI. I'm not clicking on the button. I'm just clicking on the body. All right, ready? Hopefully I got it. Oh, and we hit the debugger inside of the body. Cool. I'm going to go to the console. I'm going to look at the event. .target. Body. Event.current target. It's the body. That makes sense. We're currently on the body. Right? And we clicked on the body. Sounds good. Let's refresh and try again. This to me looks like an LI. and I hit the event listener in the UL. Please note, I don't have an event listener on any of the LIs. Okay? I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to say event.
Can I guess? Start at
Yeah, you can make a guess.
So,
The current target or the target? I want to hear the guess for both.
the event the target was gonna be, the LI,
Okay.
the event, the current target is gonna be.
UL. Okay. What do we think about Crispina's guess? I think that sounds pretty good. So if we go event.target, we see it was the LI howdy, which is what I clicked on, because that's where the event happened. That was the target of my event. That makes sense. Now, events have something called bubbling or event delegation, which means when they click, whatever they click on, if they're a nested HTML element, that event hits that element and then goes up to its parent element, which then goes up to its parent element, which then goes up to its parent element, all the way up. Which part's confusing? Oh, I would stay confident. Because we can look here, where are we in our debugger? We're in the UL, so I would stay pretty confident for now. So let's take a look and go event dot current target, and it's the UL, right? Because we clicked on the LI, and then we said, and then the event bubbled up to the UL because the LI is inside of the UL. Make sense? I think so. I think that makes sense. Question. If I click on blue, the continue button, what will happen next? Take a second and think about this. Think about our code that we've written, and think about what we think will happen next.
Let me see the code.
Amelia, I can't hear if you whisper. You were distracted by what? We did this. What's on the board? Watch the video. This was our code, right? We're at the UL. That's where the debugger got stopped. Our target, event.target, was the LI howdy. The event.current target is the UL. When I go to continue our code, what happens? And I'm ready for guesses. So when I hit blue, what will happen next? Page will go back to being bright and normal. One guess. Ovid? We'll hit the second debugger. Why? Well, how about this question? What's the second debugger inside of? Inside of the body. It's listening to an event that happens on body. Is that the question? So we clicked on an LI and it triggered off the UL. Why? Johnny? The UL was the parent? Okay. What's the parent of the UL? So what do we think is going to happen? Yeah, there's going to be another debugger. We click that, boom, now we're in the debugger of body. So if I go back to my console and I say event.current target, what do we expect the outcome to be? Yeah, the body. That's event bubbling. That's event delegation. Okay? And what if I say event.target? What do we expect? Yeah, it's still the LI. That's the difference between current target and target. Are we good with that? Yeah? Okay. Then we're done with that concept. Don't need these anymore. And if I continued also here, I could go back to our page, right? There's no other listeners. I could put a listener in HTML and we would have hit that too. Just kept going. Unless you do like event.stop propagation. And it stops. Don't worry about that. You don't need that. You'll need that someday very specifically, but at that point you'll know to be able to look that up and find it. Okay, so now let's move on to all those appends.
Somebody said that I don't have to support, but it's first mental, but I don't know if it's.
They said you can't use a for loop?
That's what you need to.
Nope.
First mental,
You can use for each.
but not to do something to.
Well, I don't know what you're trying to do. If you're trying to iterate through it, yeah, you have to do something to iterate through it.
You know how you have if you have something that you first sentence, and you give it a variable name, and then to that variable name you want to like append child, or you want to in a HTML
Okay.
do something.
All
You
right.
have to put that inside of for each if you use something.
Maybe. We have 3 LIs on the page, correct? Okay. Document. Okay. I'm going to refresh. I don't really want to see that. What do we expect? See, Eric, have a great day. Happy Thanksgiving. What do we expect? Thank you so much. Yeah. What do we expect the LIs to be? What?
How did you tend to use?
What does that mean, though? Like, it's going to be that.
Can I see the post?
Question is, what is the ally gonna be?
This, my variable LIs. What's it look like? What is it? How? Connected, how are they connected? What does that mean? Just like a bunch of naked HTML, okay?
I think it'd be a.
List of LIs within an object, okay? Sabina?
The object thing, but like how do you?
An object, so what's the key value there? That's what an object is. What are we envisioning? Why are we saying object? We must have a clear picture of a key value. If we don't, we might be using the wrong data structure.
LI would be the key.
Object can only have one key. They can't have multiple keys that are the same. So if that were the case, we'd only have one key value pair in the object. We must be using the wrong data structure. All right, well, let's take a look. What's LIs? Looks like an array with the 3 LI nodes. So I could say list at the 0th index. I get back howdy. I could say first.length minus 1 enter text, and I get TV rules. An array. Let's see for sure if it's an array. Let's go list dot for each element console.log l.inner text looks like an array to me. This is why debugger is so great. Can't do this with console log.
I was told that you were able to iterate with the logos.
You were
You only use certain types of array methods. Can't really use like other for groups on.
You're right. I'm not sure if this is technically an array. It's pretty much an array. I don't know if, but you're right. I don't know if we can use like filter on it. Let's see if we have maps available. So we saw that we had 4 each available to us. I don't think we're going to have map. Because if I did 4 each, it shows that we have a function. But if I say map, it shows that, so this isn't a real array, but we do have 4 each. Somebody wrote that for us. Very considerate. Too bad they didn't write a map. That person got kind of lazy. Crispina.
Can you say what that is, where it says F for each, and then it has the.
That's a function. That's the definition of a function.
So it says function, and then it says native code. Okay,
Churning butter.
got it.
This is a function. It shows that it's a function. If I go function here, function, adder, n, m, and I just return n plus m, and I don't invoke adder, the function. And we still got our list. Questions on what this is? Okay. Let's move on from that then. So, we keep talking about appending children. What's all that? What's all the talk about? Let's get rid of this UL. I don't want this, or the LIs in there. And let's do an AJAX. Let's do an Axios request. Okay, it's available. I'm going to go into our thing. So as soon as this loads, I'm going to go make a fetch request or an Axios GET request. I'm going to say, hey, Axios dot, let me tab in. This is getting sloppy. So Axios dot get. What do we want to get? Dog API. Sure. How do I get all the breeds? Do we remember? Dog API. Breed list. How do I get all of the, this is, where are we seeing it? List of all breeds. Here we go. I'm into that. Let's see what it would look like if we threw it in here. Yeah, it looks decent. Okay, so go back to our JavaScript. Throw that in. Get all that. Then we say then. And we get my response. And I like seeing what I have. So I'm going to throw in my debugger. Go over here, refresh my page. I hit the debugger, look at my response. I go res dot data. Looks like I got to get a message. So I only, okay, from now I'm only going to care about the keys. I don't really care about the values. Yeah, I don't care about all the like subbreeds. Not interesting to me. So I'm going to do, I'm going to play around with everything up here, and I'm going to go res.data.message. This should give me just the keys of that. Didn't work. Misspelled keys. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So this is just going to give me an array of all the keys. We see how I found that? How I got through those keys in debugger. And so I saved myself a lot of like reloading and refreshing and multiple console logging. And instead I found exactly the thing I'm actually looking for. And then I can just go here and do that. That's a huge game changer. Okay, so I know that this is going to give me an array of all of these doggy breeds. Do we like the word doggy? All right, I'll just keep saying it. Doggy. Okay, so I can map over this because this is an array. That's what object.keys returns. So I'm going to do, I could do map or I'll do for each. I guess I'll do for each actually for now. Map will come more when we do, the more in React world, you'll be mostly mapping. Because you don't have to create an element, you're mapping through and passing in. You'll see. It's going to be awesome. So each one of this, I'd say this is a breed. Right? That's pretty descriptive. And I decided that we want to put this in as an LI, right? Okay, so I got to grab that UL in order to do that. I could grab it inside of here, but then I'm grabbing something off the DOM with every single iteration. Waste of time. I can do it once by doing it outside. So I'm going to say let UL equal document query selector. I'm just going to grab the actual tag because I'm not giving these classes at the moment. And I'm writing simple stuff with only one UL. Right? Okay, so I've got this. Let's move our debugger in here. I don't think I need it. So we've got object.keys.resData.message. That's a list of dogs, right? Each one of those is a string. Okay, and I want to create an LI to go inside of that UL, right? Some people look lost, and that's making me nervous. If you're lost, you gotta speak up. This is the chance. This is the time. No time like the present. All right. Hopefully I'm misreading the room. All right. So I'm going to say I'm going to create my new LI. And I'm going to do that by going document.create element. And I'm going to create an LI. And now I'm going to give that LI some inner text. And I want that to be the breed that I have available to me. Okay. And so now we do the append child. What's a child? What is a child in HTML? It's a nested element, exactly. All right, you can think about it as someone who's pregnant. They got a child inside of them. Okay? And if that child was also pregnant, then we would have a child inside a child, right? But we keep going up, the parent element. So the baby's parent element, we want it to be is the UL. We want that to be the LI's parent. We want to be the UL. And for the parent, we want the child to be the LI, right? Yin and yang. So we gotta go UL append child. And we gotta say what child we want appended. I'm gonna say LI. Done. Okay, cool. So when we refresh the page, ta-da, we get all of our elements. Let me see if I can just increase that. Oh, got it. It works. And that is append child.
So maybe that I update something. I know, like, I was thinking that's not what it's saying. You know, right before message. Is it a method or was it something that you used to key into the object?
It was something I used to key into the object. So I went here, I looked at my response, and that was my response object. So I went, it's probably in data. So I looked at that, and then I knew it wasn't the word success. So I thought, well, it's probably in message. Johnny. Feel like some nervous question thing going on. Okay. So we got a pen child down. Great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I got a question.
let's do it.
A pen child only takes one argument.
That's right.
I seen it like
That's not
in the text with backticks, you can create multiple object locations in a pen child, which allows. If you don't just do like res that data that messages. There's something else like in the Ghibli one. They will do like title, movie directors, years, and it all today text. Something like that.
Yeah, that would sound more like an inner HTML thing, but it's the same. It's the exact same concept because you just have, instead of it being a breed, which is just a string of a word, you have an object and you have specific keys available to you. I don't want to go too deep into that yet. Spina.
Can you say what kind of method of intelligence?
I think so. I don't ever label it. I never like use it. When you get into React, this stuff becomes a little bit more obsolete. All of these direct DOM manipulations. In React, you manipulate a virtual DOM, and then it runs a diffing algorithm to see your virtual DOM versus your real DOM, and then it makes the changes for you. Don't worry about that DOM. It's just you're no longer directly manipulating the DOM. You're manipulating a virtual DOM. Abed. Not here, we're not. But like season 4, unit 4, we'll be doing. In season 4, we'll hit React. React is super tight. It seamlessly integrates JavaScript and HTML. It's really cool. Neeling.
Oh, remove like arguments. If there's no child nodes and if there is
Okay, let's see here. So, replace child. I don't know too much about replace child. I think I could use replace child. Let's look up replace child. I've never used it. What?
I'm not too sure.
The new child and old child. What? How come? What do you want to see with this?
like for that method, if there's child nodes present.
Yeah, that was remove child you were doing. Okay. So let's not use this for now. I'm just gonna say I have this li. And I'm gonna go back to howdy duty. Okay. And I'm gonna get rid of all of this Axios, all of this garbage. Okay. So now let's go to debugger, or let's create the new child we want. How about that? Let me specifically have something to grab. No, let's not. Let's make it even harder for ourselves. Okay, so create a new li. Let's say let li equals document dot create element li dot inner text Replace child. Okay. Cool. Now let's do a debugger. And see what we got. Refresh. Cool. We got our howdy doody. So we gotta see. Start our own stomp. Okay. So we're in our debugger, right? This is pretty cool. Let's see what our li is because we made a little. We have that variable, right? Because our debugger was after all that, and we made that. And so we want to replace, let's say we want to replace duty. So how do we grab duty? Say it again.
Sorry,
Maybe. Just as it is right now, if I want to type into my console, how can I grab onto duty? Trey, you want to take a go? Guess?
Document that result.
What about, yeah, going? All right, then let's go and keep going. How did you guess? Well, how do we grab all the LIs? We've done it once before. Right, we should say all. Right? This is we just did this a minute ago, and we get this array of LIs, and if I wanted to make sure I grab duty for this, I could just hard code it even, right? Got duty. Right? This is exactly what we just did a couple minutes ago.
So the only time right is when you for each, you could just implicitly just put
Well, I can key into it like an array. Okay, so if that's duty, let me assign a variable to that. Let duty. Okay, so now if I look at duty, oh, maybe it's not gonna like keep track of it. All right, well, we know how to get duty, right? Like this. So if I want to do replace child, and it said, how do I do it? It told me to grab the parent node. The parent node is what? UL. All right, so I'm going to say document dot query selector UL. All right, that looks good. So now if I say dot replace child, it's a new li first and then old li. Let's go back. New and then old. Well, we've got one called li and one that goes document query selector all li at 1. And it changed it. You can see the change already happened. So if I don't care about being sloppy, I could go here and go like this. Oops. Like this. If I do care about being sloppy, I can go let ul that. I can go ul, and I could say duty this. I can go duty. Here if I cancel that. Now when I make our page, it says replace child. Or you can replace a child. This isn't something you typically need to do that often. But that's how you do it, right? We'll grab the parent, you grab the li, or you want to grab the child you want to replace, and you pass in the child you want to put in. Christina.
Can I just say that the way that you're figuring it out, like seeing you Google it, seeing you like figure out the syntax, seeing you do that kind of thing is helping me like how to work that way.
Great.
So that's a good example of that. And I'm just saying like you keep saying, well, we don't need that, but I needed to see the process of you doing it, figuring that out.
Okay. Appreciate that feedback. Johnny?
I say, yes. And that one line.
Yeah, I broke it into readable chunks so that it's not for the computer anymore, but it's for the human. It's still not that descriptive. If I was really wanting to do great code and I needed to be descriptive, I would use better things than just the word UL. Better things than just duty, you know, like it means nothing. But it's an example of what we're doing. Eileen, you said remove child, right? Is that the next thing we have on our list? I'm going to go out on a limb and make a guess. And I'm going to say, I don't need this. I don't need this. I grab the UL. I'm going to grab the specific child I want to remove. I'm going to guess first. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to go UL. Remove child. And I bet I have to pass in a node. And I'm going to say duty. I love spelling child with an E. I don't know why, but I've done that my whole since child. Okay, let's go. Looks like it works. Good guess. And that's how we can remove a child. We just pass in the node we want to remove that's inside of the parent and call that on the parent node. Eileen.
Other way of doing it and doing the assignment, and when you have one ally and then you click and outright below it, you can place the child that they place each other. You can reassign it, we tend to do that. You always reassign and the HTML of the UL to be a new assignment that you just created.
Oh. Yeah, so I think I kind of know what we're talking about. We're talking about like getting movies. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah.
All right, are we good with that? Should I dive a little deeper into that stuff? All right. I might not write the cleanest code but you're not supposed to write the cleanest code the very first time. I mean, you should try to, but then you go back and refactor your code. So if I'm going to do the Studio Ghibli API, I better look that up. You going home or just taking a break? Oh, okay. Well, otherwise I'm going to say Happy Thanksgiving. Right. As it is, I'm not going to say that. Okay. Hope you have a terrible Thanksgiving. May your turkey come back to life. Honestly, if your turkey came back to life, though, that would be maybe the greatest Thanksgiving of all time because you would have an unbelievable story the rest of your life. Okay, that's enough weird talk. If we look at films, we know that that's the GET request for all the films. Let's do it. So I'm going to write a function called function. Going to be called make request. And I'm going to pass in a URL. And I'm going to say axios.get URL. And then I'm going to say .then response. And maybe things will be okay. What? Yeah, that's actually what I'm going to do. Good. I'm also going to have a listener. I don't want this class. I'm going to say class. I'll say ID. I'm going to have one button for now. And so I'm also going to grab my button. I'll do that down here. I'm going to say let button equal document that query selector, and I'm going to say that I want the button. Oops, button. There we go. And I'm going to add a listener on button. I'm going to say button dot add event listener. I think click makes sense. I'm going to fire something that's an event. Great. And right now, I want to fire, for fun, I'm going to fire make request. Now, I might change this a little in a minute, in a hot minute, but for now, I just want to make a request. And I'm going to pass in my URL. Okay? Because I'm probably going to actually make this request as soon as we load. And I might even remove the button, and we're going to add it to a selector. But let me just want to see what kind of data I'm even working with here. And so I'm going to refresh. Oh, let's get rid of those. That's too silly. Click on our button. I get a response. Res.data. And I'm dealing with movie objects. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, so if we wanted to display a selector where we choose our movie, maybe I'll change my color up a little bit. Now that I know exactly what I'm getting and all that, I probably don't need a button to trigger that, and I just want to have a select. That seems fine. I'm going to call this movie selection. And yeah, let's see. So back in the code, if I go here, I'm going to remove this button stuff. I don't have any of this. I don't really want it. I just wasn't sure what I was going to do yet. But I am going to make this request. And I'm going to write a function that takes in an array of movie objects and adds them to a select. So I'm just going to write this function called like fill select with titles. It's a long, ugly name, but you definitely know what it's doing. And I'm going to have it take in an array. And with that array, I'm going to grab my select. So I'm going to say let select equal document.query selector. We call that what? Movie selector, right? Movie select? Movie selection. Maybe not the greatest name, but you know, I'm trying. I can always refactor. So I've gotten my movie selection. I've got this array, which I'm going to actually be smarter about. I'm going to call movies. That's what it is. And I'm going to go movies.forEach. And I'm going to say for each movie, I'm going to create a option tag. So I'm going to say let option equal document. I misreact. Option. So this is going to be, I'm going to make my inner HTML, right? I'm going to say option inner text. I'm going to make that movie title. I know I have that from when I was in my debugger before. I know it's a key. Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to give each thing a value. So I'm going to give the value actually to be an ID. So I'm going to say option.value is equal to movie.id. Okay, it's not the sexiest of functions, but it's not terrible. Let's see if it works. So as soon as this happens, I'm going to make this request here, and then I'm going to pass in fill select titles. I'm going to pass in my response data. We okay with that? So this page will load. It's going to fire off this request. It's going to wait. It's going to get its response, and then it's going to fire this function. So I'm expecting something. If it doesn't work, I'm going to have to do a debugger. Didn't work. All right. Why didn't it work? Well, to be one thing, I didn't append. What? It was an array of objects. We saw that. We saw it earlier. But we wanted, this takes in an array of movies. So it didn't work, and it's probably because I didn't append anything to select. So I'm going to make a small adjustment. I'm going to say select dot append child, and I'm going to say option. Try again. This stuff. I'm really considering making a variable at the top to make append child equal append child correctly. Okay, I just won't do that though. Okay, so we got Castle in the Sky. We got our movies. Cool. That's pretty good. Not doing anything though, right? Not yet. So let me grab our select and add a listener, because every time we make a select, we want to go grab the information of that movie, right? And so I'm going to say, I've already grabbed, could technically move this out and then I don't have to grab it again. Do we see that? If I go like this, I've made a globe. It's not as pretty. I could grab it multiple times, but now, let's see. Let's make sure it still works. Made a change, refresh. I still have it because this has the scope value of this because it's outside of that. So since I don't want to grab select twice. I'm just gonna do it once. So now I have select, and I'm gonna say select dot add event listener, and I'm going to listen for any kind of change, and it's going to take fire an event, and I want to do a debugger. Okay, let's reload. The cat returns. Sounds great. Hit my debugger. Take a look at my event. Got target, because that's all I really care about, right? Looks like that, but that's just the way it turns out. But I know I gave each thing a value. So I have this value, I've got this ID. So I could do something with that. I can make a request. I think I will make a request. So every time there's a change, let me fire a request. Let me say, let URL. Happy Thanksgiving, Kelly. And I'm going to say, so how do I grab this individual movie? Should be able to see it somewhere. Films/ID. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good RESTful API. So I'm going to say, put it in backticks. And I'm going to say, event.target.value, and I'm going to say, let's make a request. Put that URL. Now I know what some of us are thinking. We're saying, well, that's cool. We're going to get stuff back, but then we're going to call fill select titles, right? We've already done that. Well, maybe I'll make this a callback. So I'll say callback. Callback means I have to make an adjustment here and say I want to pass in fill select titles. So I made a couple quick changes. Let's see if everything's still all right. Still getting that. And we're getting callback is not a function. That's because I didn't pass the function out. So the code I wish I had is display movie. I haven't written it yet, but I wish I had it. So let's write it. Function display movie. It's going to take in something. I don't know what it takes in. Ooh, that's too bad. Let's take a look. Let's go over here. Throw in a debugger. Yeah, tell me about it. So let's take a look at what we actually get. We don't care about this first time, but when I make a selection, what do we get back? We have, because we know we're going to have to pass in, we can pass in res.data into our callback. And this time when I do that, I just have a movie object. Cool. So this is just a movie. We still good? Okay. So, what do we need to do? What's the next step? What can we do? Abud? Sure, so we could do all kinds of stuff, right? So let's say something like, let movie display equal document.create element, and we'll make it a div. And what else? We want to have, what do we want to show from the movie? What do we care? We've got a title, a description, director, producer. Do we need all this stuff? What do we really want to show? And it kind of starts to get overplayed. How about we just show the title and description and director? All right, so I'm going to make an H1. So I'm going to say the title, the document, create element, and I'm going to say an H1. I'm going to say let description for document create element, and let's make it, what do we want to make it? P tag? Sure. And let director for document create element, I don't know, H3. Thanks. Okay. So now we've got 4 new elements to play around with. Okay. So we can say, where do we want this to go? I mean, maybe we want to just already have it there. All right, that's another option, is to have it already in our element, so we don't actually have to make it. We could do that with all of them, but we don't. Let's let's just for fun. Let's just also have a div here. I like that, and I'll say movie title. I'll just say movie display. This is what we wanted, right? That's what we're making here. So instead of making it here, I'm just going to query select it. And go movie display. There? Okay. That way we can do stuff later. I'm trying to think ahead, but not too far ahead. So, okay, so let's start filling these in. Let's say we want our title dot enter text to be our movie dot title. Let's say we want our description dot enter text to be our movie description, and we'll say our director dot inner text is equal to movie dot director. Cool. And so what? Okay. Nice catch. It's one less bug to hunt. Haven't run this code for a little while, but I'm gonna just kind of go for it, and then as soon as I'm done, I'm gonna run it. We should probably append these things. So let's do it. Let's go movie display dot and child title. Description. Director. Okay, let's see if it works. Let's get rid of that debugger for right now. And I'm calling that function here, so should be fine. It wants a semicolon. Let's get the semicolon. Okay. So we get our movies. Click on a movie, and we see a bunch of stuff. Interesting. Not bad. So if we click on another movie, what happens? We added to it. Right? So this was a problem we ran into. Okay. So we've got a display movie function. Let's do a function. Another function that says clear previous movie. That's kind of what we need, right? It's the code we wish we had. Because like before I run this, I wish I could just do clear previous movie. Right? That would be nice. To have one line of code in that function and not really have it do anything else. So let's do it. So let's figure out, we're probably going to need this. I'll just grab it again. And let's investigate. The zoom type. So I grab one. I don't really care about the first time because that's been working. I grab the second time. We hit our debugger. And let's look at what movie display is. Okay, so movie display's got all of these things. I'm going to look at movie display, say dot first child. Have a good Thanksgiving. It's got a first child movie display. Okay. And we could call, let's see, what else does movie display have available to it? Does it have a remove child? It's got a function to remove children. Right. So let's just go like this. Wow. Movie display dot first child. So while it has a first child, movie display. Oops. To remove child, and let's pass in movie display first child. And hopefully we'll just keep running in that loop until there's nothing left. It works. Looks good to me. And this is our code. Pretty clean-ish. Not ideal, but that's just because this is what we have available. We've got our selector we're grabbing at the top. I mean, I guess we could grab it twice. I'm going to argue that this is not as pretty as if I just call it. Whatever, I'm just going to leave it. Okay. Got a select at the top. got our make request. It takes in a URL and then what we want to do with it after we get back our data. We're making the request to begin with, and we're passing in the fill select titles. Our fill select titles gets back our array of movie objects. We create options with each title with the value of their ID. We append that into our select. On change in our select, we create the new URL we want to send a request with that movie's ID. We make the request again with this new URL and the function display movie. When we get back our movie, we clear the previous movies, which grabs it and just keeps removing the first child while there is a first child. And then it goes on and grabs this movie, it does its title, does its description, its director, it changes the inner text of all the things and displays ends with everything. We can probably improve this code by doing something that's like, let's see if we can make it work, like function node append. It takes in a node and say parent child. That's kind of the same.
Why did it say
Forget it. What?
something?
Can't hear you.
There's an error message that popped up.
I wasn't done writing the function. There's ways to improve it, but it's not really necessary at this point. This is good enough. Questions on how we got this far? Okay. Regardless. Move child, replace child, energy value. You still need forms? Was that you?
That was me.
You?
Yeah.
You still need forms?
No.
What? You feel okay on that?
Yeah.
It's all about listening to that event. You put an event on a form, you listen for the submit. And on that submit, you want to prevent the default, and then you can do whatever.
Can you write that things out? Just because that's something we want, I'll say it to the mind. Like, after this, we got the subjects.
I can quickly patch together a form. Let me just copy this code so we have if people want it. Just, otherwise, I'm going to delete it. That's what I'm doing. Good idea. All right, I'm not going to share. I guess I can. We should be able to do that. Okay, so instead of all of this, just going to have a form. Oops. I don't want any of this. Oops. Have an input. Type. Radio. Name. I don't know. Flavor. Chocolate. And I'm going to give this a label. I'm labeling my input. Oops. This all needs to be tabbed in, right? Or just this one? It needs to be tabbed in. This one. Okay. Vanilla. Vanilla. Strawberry. I don't know. Right, and then I can do input, submit, favorite flavor submission. If I wanted, I could have that be a button as well. All right, let's check out what our HTML looks like. Should get rid of all the JavaScript. Okay. So we've got these, the chocolate, vanilla, the strawberry. Good? I can line break them to make them a little bit prettier. Let's do something like break. Cool. Much nicer. So I'm gonna add the DOM content loaded. Document add then listener content loaded, firing off an event. Oops. Thank you. Let's make sure that this works. Okay. Cool, it spelled everything right. See, I don't need a debugger to check if everything's spelled right. I'm not really interested in looking at anything. There's nothing to look at. So I'm going to grab my form. I'm going to say let form query selector. I'm going to say form, and I'm going to say form.add event listener. I'm going to say submit. Oops. Submit. And debugger. Okay, so we got our form, radio button, click on that, and we submit. So our event. Interesting. See if there's any data in here. I don't know if there is. Just seeing all kinds of whatever. Anyway, if I continue, we refreshed the page and it gave us this weird flavor submission URL, which I don't like. So in here, I'm going to do event default. And I'm not going to do debugger right now. I just want to see if it refreshes. Oh, just nothing happens because I'm not telling it to do anything. That's all. Any other questions on form? Yeah, that's, you said it. Just event.prevent default. It is like so hard. If I wanted to update values and stuff, I could do that on the change. Then I could look at the exact target and all that. Eventually, we will be keeping track of all the changes in our forms. And then when we click submit, we'll be firing off some data object into a database system. Yeah.
You said that we were gonna API.
That's season 3.
Okay, it's not that, right?
Yeah.
What are we gonna use as our own server or data? Like, what are we gonna be?
It's going to be with Express. All right. Any other questions on the forms? Okay. So, form already did. I think we've done some on API requests. Are there other questions on API requests?
The XML requests.
Not going to do that. You will. The next time you see that, you will go, I know what that is. Let me look it up. That's like, that was a history lesson. Yeah, so before we get to, is there any other API stuff that I'm not finished right now? Sorry.
Oh, the posts for fetch requests.
Yeah, so for so if we want to do posts and stuff, we have to send some sort of data object. And so I don't want to go too deep because we don't have our own database to interact with yet. So we'll be doing a lot more of that in season 3 when we start creating our own things, and then we can actually add things into our database. But for now, it's just like it will say we added it, but it doesn't really. So for that, we just do Axios dot post, then it's the URL, and then it's just a data object. That's all. And then this will return some sort of response, usually like 200. But are we good with mostly GET requests for now? Yeah. Delete's the same thing. Just get the URL you want, access.delete. With fetch, it's the object has just more stuff. It has the method, just like post. It has the data, which is the data object. That will be sent here, it's sent here. And then there's something like that. But for now, we're dealing with Axios land. Just kind of knowing that we can look up. Good? Okay. So the next thing on our list, we're getting closer to the things that we gave diagonals. We need to do recursion a little bit. We feel okay with that? Or are there any other non questions? Any other HTML, CSS, element?
Yes. Create, class list, add.
That is an ES5 way. The class list. Oh, class to add a class?
For DOM.
To add classes to DOM? Okay.
Like, let's say ul dot class list dot add. You give a class name that you want to give to the ul.
Sure. We can touch that.
And then, question is created. Let's say you created a ul. You add the class name to that ul. Then you style in CSS.
Yeah, okay. I hear
It
you.
doesn't know like where that CSS style is going to go to that created class and tag.
Because whatever, it's got the CSS.
Where does it exist? That's where it goes.
It's magic.
Okay.
For Spina?
Okay, so I'm under the impression we're gonna make some kind of weather app and I remember you're saying that we probably should use Grid to do that weather app, and I kind of understand the idea of that, like, the weather app is gonna have like a ton of data displayed, and like Grid would probably be the easiest to display it and display it the way we want to. Could you kind of maybe give us another resource for Grid besides that Scrimba? Like,
The Scrimba and the Grid Garden are the best resources and the only ones that I would specifically recommend. You're more than welcome to Google and see any of the other resources. I don't know them. Grid Garden? That was the one with the watering of carrots and plants and poisoning weeds. Okay. All right, so if we had if we wanted to give a UL a class here, we didn't want to assign it here. Go into our JavaScript, and I'm gonna go let UL equal, and whatever, document dot, you can watch the video of any of the lessons that we did it. UL, let's see what's available to us. Debugger. Got my UL dot class list. We say I don't have a class on this UL. No, let's do dot add, pass in a name, Corey's class. Didn't like it. Now if I look at the UL and I say dot class list, it's in there. I can add another one. Text on a line. Class list. Got two things there. I want to remove it. I don't really like Corey's class. I prefer snakes on a plane. Remove class. And go back to snakes on a plane. It would look the same, it would have a space. Crispina.
When you're removing, like, not remove, what kind of, like, what do you call that?
It's a method available on class list. Johnny, we just did what you asked, which was we looked at the class list, but there was no class on the UL. We added Corey's class. And then we looked at the class list and we saw it was in there. Then we added snakes on a plane and we saw, when we looked at the class list, that we had two classes. Then we removed Corey's class. And then we saw it was just snakes on a plane. And then we looked at the UL and saw it would look like that. Yeah, or you could just, for what thing, on UL? Value. Works. I don't use set attribute. Maybe there's sometimes you might need it. Abba?
I think Johnny wanted to see why start to
Sure.
the class that you created. And then
So we got to make a link, style sheet, and I'm just going to say, I'm going to call this index.css. And I'm going to create a new file called index.css. And I'm going to say blue class background blue, green class, so let's do it again. UL is empty. Well, maybe I should put stuff in it. Go back to our howdy doody. Howdy. Doody. Okay. A little more interesting. So I'm going to say UL dot class list dot add. What do we call it? Blue class? It updates it. What's going to happen if we do green class? What do you think's going to happen? I don't know. Green class came first. And we'll remove green class. Or we can remove blue class. That's more fun. Well, let's check this out. So I'm going to do blue class. Now I'm going to add blue class. Do we think it's going to go blue or stay green? No, it's going to stay green because it's green class. It's the second thing in our CSS file. Yeah. So if I remove green class, now go back to blue. How's it happening? I'm just going to leave it as like a magic thing right now. Cool? Rock and roll. Any other HTML, CSS, DOM manipulation? Nope. Cool. Do we want to do recursion? Do we need a break? What do we think? Let's take a 10-minute break. Okay. Come back in a 4. What's wrong? It's too hot.
Don't get me started on that. Having a good day.
Tired. Getting tired.
What else?
I don't know. People want attention for you seem to want attention for yeah, all of this is, but that's all of this stuff.
Yeah, for, yeah.
All of this is just great.
Lots of
Yeah. It's probably like sleeping. It's like anything needs to go.
Okay.
Hey, have a good Thanksgiving.
Enjoy.
Good to see you, man.
Yes.
I'll probably be here next Thursday. Okay.
Okay, so in this, right? When like this part where you used to have debugger.
Bye. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Bye. See ya. Where you used to have debugger when you were showing it to us. I mean, before you had it as just debugger, but here you're making a function so that it will close it up and stuff, and then you'll be able to use this result somewhere else, right? But why are you using? Is it because I am afraid of the word callback? But
The function.
so it could be any one of these functions.
I'm
You can-
passing. I'm calling it information or whatever.
Okay.
Two places. I'm calling it here. I'm calling make request, and I'm passing it one function. I'm doing it in a different spot.
Where?
Line 15 or something. 14.
Oh, so this is the URL. This is this. And the callback would be display movie.
Yep.
So that you could use that in make. Okay. Make display. Where's make display? Oh, I don't need to make display. Make display is just a URL and a function display movie.
Yep.
Display movie. Okay. I admit it's partly my fault. I distracted myself irresponsibly.
It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Apparently to me every day. But this is a display movie and I'll use it. And
This is what?
okay, display movie. And I could have just
What's
like,
this for? That you're thinking?
well, you know how you have this, and there were two ways of doing it.
Yeah, but you said you'll
One.
use it. For what?
Just when I'm making my stuff. If I didn't want to use a word callback, right? I have two alternatives. One is to respond a different variable name,
It
And
doesn't make any sense.
it doesn't.
No, that's the response data from the get class.
Okay. I can give it a variable name and that would be like a new object that is existing that I could dig into whenever
I
I
don't
need to
know.
do
I
stuff.
wouldn't. That's
do
the
it
best
like
way I
that.
could think to do it. I'm not gonna
Okay.
like go for a different way.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. You could try anything. But this is mine.
Okay. And a slight difference to this is if you have this here, but then some function that you do need the same movie display that you did before. I could have just called that inside here
But I didn't want to call that. This is for any request.
for any request. Okay. So anytime I have a function that needs this information, I just find a way to give this a new name instead of callback. And
Callback is the most clear name for that.
callback. Oh gosh, I feel so uncomfortable with callback. Okay, no, show me. Okay, so this callback res the data, right?
Yep.
Where is it being called back? Like just well, I know you said 2 places, but
Request.
make request. And this is the format. It's the same as this. And you whatever URL you assigned it to. And a callback would be this callback, which would be an
This
object.
display movie.
Display
Callback.
movie,
What is a callback?
a function.
Okay, I'm passing in a function.
Passing in any function. Okay.
The other place that I make a request is in a different function. One is to do with the data.
And display movie does all of these things. And it's going to use this URL to just do all of these things. So request it, make request is going to use display movie and
But
a
on that
URL
specific call, yes.
on this URL. So it's using the fetch request. So,
Getting data, and then I'm saying what function and what that data passed into.
okay. And the only way you could do stuff is if you have this URL giving you that response, that object.
It's one of the ways.
Oh, okay. You know what we could do? We could do callback.
That's what I'm doing.
No, I mean like.
That's what we did all morning. That was all for each map, filter, reduce. Those were all callbacks.
Really?
Yeah, we did callbacks for about 4 hours this morning.
So just a function inside a function is a callback.
It's a function that's passed into it's an argument. Does that make sense?
It makes sense if I was doing a test like what is a callback, but to actually use it.
But you've been using them
Yeah,
on
but
map and for
But
each and
that
reduce.
is for each. That is map and that is filter.
Those are methods that take in a callback.
That's different from everything else.
It's actually the exact same. It's just a function that takes in a function as an argument. That argument is called the call.
Wow.
That's all right. You'll get it. Just keep practicing. You can do it.
Oh God. Okay.
I mean, you're already really good at for each map and stuff. You're already using callbacks constantly. You got it. You can do it. Okay. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. Sure.
You see recursively a lot in like Delphi world.
No. Not, I did.
You find like
Binary search. And whiteboarding interviews. Let's go back to our friend REPL. All right, so let's talk about recursion a little bit. What makes a function recursive? What's the definition of a recursive function? Yep. A function that calls itself. Function call Is this a recursive function? Why is it not a recursive function? So those are signs of a good recursive function. This will call forever, but it is a recursive function. It's a function that calls itself. By definition, this is a recursive function, but not a very good one. So what was that thing you said we needed? Yeah, so need a base case. What's the base case for? Yeah. Base case tells us to stop and return concrete data. Right? No longer just like another call. What else do we need? What's next? We have no idea. All right, it's an inductive set. Step that moves us towards the base case. Fair? Okay. Cool. All right. So let's write one. Write a function. Write a recursive function that takes in an array and sums all elements. Okay? Go for it. step is the step two. Part of it eventually. Yeah, I see credits, or for some reason I'm getting tired. Probably not person. I would try to adjust that. I feel better. Well, I don't know if you were bothered. I just know I was. I don't mean to be cranky. I just feel tired tonight. For some reason, I was getting cranky. I'm not going to be cranky from now on. Recognizing is the first step. Everyone's like, I didn't know you were cranky. I was feeling cranky, so that's that. That's very kind of you. Christina. Great. All right, let's get going on this, and then we'll try to improve ourselves on the next round. Okay, so we know how to declare a function. Done it a lot of times. We're going to say function sum. For those of you who are excited, Karina just came back into the room. Okay, for all you cool cats at home, we have a sold down audience. Okay, we've got a sum. It's going to take in an array. We got to do a base case, right? What's a good base case? When do we want this to stop running? Yeah, I think that's a totally fair guess. So she says, hey, when the array's empty, we can concretely know that our output should be 0, because there's nothing to add. Right? Does that feel somewhat intuitive? Okay, so hopefully it does, and we'll just say if r.length equal to 0, I know people freak out. Return 0. That's fair. So if I say something like down here, and I say sum, and I pass in this, I want to return 0. And I do, right? That's good. I think that's cool. So now, if we're trying to move our array, so now the best thing to do is kind of like make a step. Like, that's the very base. So what would be one bigger than the base? What would be one thing bigger than the base? What's the next step up? No, not the inductive step, just like the next thing that we would pass into this function. Like we tried it at empty array. What would be the next least complicated example? The length of 1. Yeah, so if I said 7 or 6, because that's what I accidentally hit, we would want this to return 6, right? And right now it doesn't do that. Right now it would just do nothing, return undefined. So what do we need to happen in order to get this array to become what our base case is? What's something we can do?
What you're asking is how do we make this empty, right?
Yes. Sure, we could pop it, right? If I pop this up, I would end up with an empty array. Okay? So that sounds like a step towards the base case. So if I were to say array.pop, What's this going? What's a rate up pop going to be? Number 6. Bye. Happy Thanksgiving. Okay, so if I got to 6, that's cool. And I know if I did sum at array now, that would give me what? Sum at array. Like, don't worry about like how there's an error here, right? Like, how about, oh, I'll just do it like this. If I did sum at array now, what would this become? Right. Do we all see that? So this would become 0. And I would want to add that to my 6. So I'm going to go back up here. And I would say that. Now, if I run it now, we still get undefined, but that's because my function doesn't return anything, right? So I got to make it return something. So I'm going to actually just have it return this line. Like that. So now when we try it, we get 6. Okay, what's the next basic example we could do? A 2-element array, right? So I'm going to check it and see how far off I am. Oh, I'm not off. 2, 2, 3, my 13. Oh, I guess it works. All right, so we found the most simple case possible. That's our base case. We went one step above that and saw how we could move that one step to be that, to work with, to get to that base case. How do we get to that base case? And then what would we want to do? And if we get the first couple to work, they all magically work. Rena.
So the next simplest, the simplest was just 1. The next simplest was 2 elements. And you did the sum, like you called sum on array inside the function. You called the function inside the function right there. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really understand what's happening.
Okay, well, it's a recursive function, so we gotta call ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we determined that this was the base case, which meant we want an array to be the length of 0 so that we can stop running, right? So we can stop adding to our call stack specifically, right? Because every time we call it, puts itself on the call stack, this makes a call, puts that on the call stack, makes a call, puts that. And so in order to keep popping off that call stack, we got to eventually return some concrete numbers. So we started with an empty array, and we want to hit an empty array. Because if we hit an empty array, we're home free. We get back a 0. So if we start with something with a 1 inside of it, we got to figure out how do we get that empty array so we can hit that base case. So we popped off the 1 because then we have an empty array, which is what we really want. And that way we could pass the empty array into sum. This will return 0. This is a 1 now. And we go 1 plus 0, we return 1.
Some of ours is just
This?
Yeah.
Nope, this is calling this function. Is the function sum, and we're saying the R has a length of 0 now, and so it's returning 0. Does that make sense or not make sense?
I don't know what's not
Like, see it, like when it falls down and it goes back up.
Yeah.
It's hard to see it without drawing it out.
Sure, we could try drawing it out. I hear you. This is our array. We've called sum on this. Right? We've popped off the 1. And we've said plus sum of an empty array. This becomes 0. And this returns 1. This becomes 1.
So when we're adding more elements to the array, we're also adding on top of that, like more
Another call.
calls. Yeah, okay, I got it now.
Oh, okay, great. Awesome. So let's write another one. Let's write a, okay. Write a recursive function of foods. Takes in an array and a target. Returns a Boolean. True or false if true or false. Let's do this then. So I want to say includes, and then I'm just going to do include just in case it gets confused. And I'm going to have an array, and I'm going to say 12 and 2 and 33 and 44. 4. I pass in the number 33. I want this to return true. Questions on that? All right. Watch this real quick. So I implore you all to start with figuring out the basics, most simple input possible, and we can drive a specific answer. There, go up one step of complication and see if we can move towards that base. Do not look at it as one big problem. Right? So that all of this nothing right. Person has Do we feel ready to talk about it a little bit? What? Couple more minutes? All right. Couple more minutes, all right. You want us to continue to push our speed. All right, I'm going to help us get started here. I do the other side. All right, so I'm going to do function include. This is taking in an array and a target. When do we know for sure that our array doesn't include the target? When there's nothing in the array, right? How could it have the target? Great idea. So we're going to say if array dot length. I'm just going to bang it because then it switches it. I say return false. When do we know for sure that the element is in the array? What could we do? Christina.
Find the element, the first element array at 0.
Sure.
And see if it's equal to the target.
So if array at 0 is equal to the target, then we would return true. Sounds good. So we've got two possible returns. Now we got to get to our inductive steps. So let's pretend that I'm not calling this includes, but I instead did include, and I had one element here, and I had a target here. Checked array at 0, and it's not. It has. We haven't hit that, but our length isn't 0. So now we got to get our length to be 0. What's a way we could make this into an empty array. We could use pop. Possibility. They're checking the beginning one, so we might get a little bit of weird results. Because if we did that here, we would say, hey, 2 isn't in it, but then we would pop off 3. But not a bad idea. We could change this if we wanted to. Let's just work with what we got. Let's be flexible. What's another way we could get rid of that element? We could shift it. Yeah, definitely we could shift it. What's another way? What's an even another way? We could slice it also, right? Let's say we don't want to mutate it. All right. So we're saying if I were to call return and I did include, and I did array at slice at 1, so it would not include the first element. And if we called include here, we'd say is the length 0, we'd say no, and then we'd say it's the first element target, no, and then we would say let's slice this at 1, and we don't have that, so we would end up with that on the next call. And then we would say, all right, is our length 0? And we'd say, yeah, and we would return false. That sounds pretty good. Let's try it. Let's try it on the big one. Oops. For some reason, maybe it's this thing. Why? Why is this not working? Slice does not mutate. Actually, a little confused as to why that didn't work. Let's do r dot slice at 1. What are we missing? That seems very weird to me. Ah! How many arguments does our include take in? How many did we pass them? Yeah. What? There's just that dictionary thing? Yeah, how do you get rid of it? Do you know how to get rid of that? Yeah, I think we're talking about 2 different things. Are you talking about the code, Jasmine?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. Undefined. Interesting. Why is that happening? Oh, well, we haven't run any code yet. Finally. True. Let's try 73. That's not in there. Okay, so the code works. Excellent. Yeah, your code was fine. Yeah, it's working. Yeah. Couldn't be. John?
Places recognize sites,
No. Just all those warm-up problems. Anything that you've done with a loop or something you could try. Sometime, yeah. I don't really have a great suggestion for that. Just practice any of those warm-ups. Write your own flatten, your own reduce, your own filter, your own map, your own for each. Just do it all recursively. Questions on how this is working? Let's do one more. Let's write fibs. Let's write a function. Write a function that returns the fib number that is passed in. So if we remember, our fibs are 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 5. Am I doing that math right? 2, 5, 3, right? 8, 12. And if I pass in 4, I'd get 1, 2, 3, 4, and I would return 2. So I'd say fibs at 4, I get back 2. Just a number. Four, I'm not sure. 1, 2, 3, 1. This is just to let you know what Fibonacci's are.
So we have to make 3.
You're actually just returning a number. So if I give you the number 4, you would return the number 3. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just a visual representation. Sorry, representation. Red leather, yellow leather. Okay. We are all having big goose eggs on stage here. Making an array of things you want. Far from it. Okay. Let's get on the right track. Right? Let's talk about what a base case. Let's talk about the base case. Let's talk about that together, and then we'll continue on our own. What's a base case that might make sense? So I'm just going to start with the function because we all got that far. Function, fibs, takes in a number. Let's talk about the base case. Looking at our fibs, what's the base case?
I don't understand what's really happening in this output, like every time another one is coming, like what's happening. So, like.
Well, do you mean how this gets made?
Yeah.
0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 5 is 12. Yes. It is the incorrect math, but that is how that was working. Does that pattern make sense?
Yeah.
So if we're looking at how it's made, that sounds like an inductive step, not a base case step. What is a good base case step? We can talk about this as a group. The number 0. Okay, so if the number was 0, what would we want to return? We would want to return 0. That sounds fair, right? Because that's like, and it's not an unfair assumption. We're not having to do anything to that number. Okay, let's say if we wanted another, what's a step up from 0 is what? What's our next number that we would have? 1. And then in the event that we have 1, what do we want to return? 1. Okay, so when we pass in 0, we want to return 0. When we pass in 1, we want to return 1. When we pass in 2, what do we want to return? So we 1. So all of a sudden, that pattern no longer worked, right? But we had something going there for those first 2 numbers. So if I were evaluating that, I would write something along the lines of if num is less than 2, return num. That seemed like a fair thing? Okay. So keep going. That's our base case. That's a good base case. And then we got to think what fibs actually does. So when we had 2, how would we add up the 1 and the 0? So that was metaphorical. I want you to think about it. So if we decided that's the base case, and we decided that when we enter 2, we needed to also get the number 1. How would we hit our base case and get the desired result? That's the next brain teaser. But it's actually there is one. That's not. Well, get there. But that's the way I'm going to teach you guys. Teach the official way. For now. That'll be another thing. That will be in a couple of months more like questions. All right. Let's talk about it. Anyone get it, by the way?
I feel like
What's that mean? I know, let me just check it. That's cool. That's very close. Okay. So let's talk about this. So we agreed that this was an okay base case, right? Are any of us having doubts? Are any of us a few months into the relationship and deciding, oh, I don't know if I should have done this? Okay. So we're good. We're married to the base case. That's fine. So we've now passed in, let's say, we've passed in the number 2. So it doesn't hit our base case. Okay, and we know that fibs, when we pass in 2, should return back to the 1, right?
I'm not sure what you're saying there.
When we pass in fibs 2, we want to return 1.
Yeah.
Can't hear you.
I think that I'm not 100% sure.
Take a quick look. Okay, let's say that's not quite right. Okay, but we can agree that when we pass in 2, we want to have the output be, finish that sentence, 1, thank you, Abed. It's like we're finishing each other's, Sentences. Excellent thoughts is what I wanted to say. Okay, so how can we get that one? Where's this one being made up of? Where is this one? How do we make this one? The addition of the previous two numbers? That's fair. Do we agree with that? That the reason we have this one is because it's 1 plus 0? So if we were given the number 2, how could we get the number 0 back? None minus 2. So if we said 2 minus 2 is 0, we could call fibs 0 and it would give us back 0. Okay, so we got back our 0. How do we get back this number? How do we turn 2 into the number 1? Right, so if we called fibs num minus 1, we would get back the 1. So if we were able to get back a 0, we were able to get back a 1. It sounds like we could get this one. That's not too far cry of help right there, right? So how did I get those? Well, I go over here and I could say return, and I want fibs of num minus 2. So that's gonna, if I'm passing in a 2, that's gonna pass in a 0 here. And I could say plus fibs, and we said if we wanted to bring that 2 down to a 1, we could do num minus 1. So let's think about this. 2 comes in, it doesn't hit our base case, and instead goes 2 minus 2 is 0. So fibs at 0 plus fibs at 2 minus 1, fibs at 1. And we go, oh, 0 plus 1, and we've returned the number 1. Exciting. So this should work for 2. Very cool. So what if we wanted to try fibs at 3? Let's see if we think this is going to work. So if we set fibs at 3, doesn't hit our base case, and it says, hey, fibs at essentially 1, and fibs at 2, right? So this is almost the same as me saying, oops, fibs at 2 plus fibs of 1, right? Now we already established on the last example when we were talking about it, that fibs of 2 return the number 1. Right? Do we need to see it again? Or do we remember from a couple minutes ago? We remember? Hey, wake up. Do we remember or not remember? Which part? This was when we called fibs at 3. We said, hey, fibs at 3. And we're saying num minus 2. Oh, sorry, I mixed these up. Num minus 2 is 1. It's 3, right? 3 minus 2 is 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. This is the call.
This fibs define a predefined function that is the Fibonacci.
We are writing that function.
Retrieve 0 and retrieve 3 and retrieve 5. And set fibs 3 and stuff like that.
Because we wrote that. We figured it out. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back in time 5 minutes ago and said we had fibs at 0 returns what? Crispina? Okay. We said fibs at 1 returned what? Okay, and so when we did fibs at 2, how do we retrieve, if it doesn't hit the base case, how can we make a situation where we get the previous 2 things? That's how we wrote this step. Fibs of num minus 2 and fibs of num minus 1. Because if we had 2 in there, we would say 2 minus 2 is 0. So this would become fibs at 0 plus 2 minus 1 is 1. Fibs at 1, right? Are you still with me? Where'd you get lost?
Where does the 0?
From inside of our function. We're taking num minus 2, and we're saying num minus 1. This is a representation of the call stack. Yes.
What do you have to do to make us fibs at 15? I mean, fibs at 7.
We would have to just enter this function and say fibs at 7. We just have to pass 7.
And that would be 7. Fibs of 7 minus 2 would be 5.
That'd be fibs of 5 plus fibs of 6. Plus fibs of 4 and fibs of 3 and fibs of 5, fibs of 4. Yeah. So we determined our base case. We had 0 and 1. That made sense because that was the same as n. Seemed like a fair game. When we had 2, that base case was no longer true, right? But 2 would be the next easiest step away from our base case. So we go, how do we make the number 2 into something that hits our base case? Specifically, how does this number 1 come into creation when we're talking about Fibonacci numbers? You answer me that. Why is this the number 1? No, I want to know how we get this number in the Fibonacci sequence.
Oh, we added 0.
You had 0 and 1. Cool. Isa? 0 and 1? Okay, so we added 0 and 1 to get to this one, which is what we would want if we passed the fibs at 2. And we have a base case that covers these 2 items. So we could say, hey, if we subtracted 2 from our number, we could get to one of our base cases. Because 2 minus 2 is 0, and fibs at 0 is one of our base cases. How do we get to this other base case where it returns 1? Well, if we had 2, we could minus 1, and we would say fibs at 1. So if we called fibs at 2, we could make 2 fib calls, one at 0 and one at 1, and add those up, and this would return 0 plus 1, and we'd get fibs at 2 as 1.
Know what that value is. So.
Yep. Exactly. Okay, and that's going to get us these 2 things. Okay. So now so let's not forget this. Let's remember this, okay? So now if we were in fibs 3, let's follow the function we just wrote. We said fibs at num minus 2. Fibs at 3 minus 2 is fibs at 1. Plus fibs at num minus 1, which is fibs at 3 minus 1, which is fibs at 2. Yes? Okay. Does this hit a base case? What does this become? Comes to number 1. Does this hit a base case? Right. But we just established here that fibs of 2 will eventually return what? Right. It's been a 1. Right, we just did fibs of 2. We did fibs of 2 becomes fibs of 0 and fibs of 1, which returned 1. Are we okay on that? Not okay on that? Yeah? You said? If you're worried about forgetting in the future, write it tonight 500 times. Yeah, it's looping until it hits that base case. It keeps calling itself, and we keep moving towards that base case. So if we know that fibs of 2 is going to return 1, which we proved here, this becomes a 1. So this fibs of 3 is going to return 2. It's safe to say that this pattern continues forever. So if we check fibs of 3, looks good. Check fibs of 4, looks good. Eileen wanted to know 7, fibs of 7, it's 13. Make sense? Yeah, yeah. Excellent. Okay. And we've done tips for version. Done it. We did everything on our list except for closures, which I think would be a little silly to go over right now. We didn't completely rewrite drive system. We did a lot of things that were tough. And we didn't talk about splice. All right, we did it. Good job, guys. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. I think that's all my energy. You're welcome. No problem.
You are gentleman with stars for you, gentleman with stars.
All right.
Right?
Thank you. Put all the REPL? Is that?
No, just
Oh, yeah, I'm going to put the whole REPL from today.